Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live. It is program number 70. Great to have your company this evening, and a great show as always lined up for you. Here we are, absolutely live on a Wednesday night. Now, my guest this evening is Rafi Akbar, founder and CEO of Lucky Webs. His background is in digital marketing, web design, social media, e-commerce, and also SEO, those three magic letters. He's also passionate about empowering others, does a lot of training, and I'll tell you more, well, he'll tell you more about himself in just a moment. What we can be talking about tonight, I think the thing that's important about tonight is that if you're thinking about launching your own website, if you're toying with the idea of maybe going out there and getting a presence online, how do you go about it? How do you start? Who do you turn to? What are the key things you need to remember? How are you going to make that investment in your time, well, profitable, worthwhile, worth actually doing? Well, Rafi's the man. He's going to be telling us exactly what you should be doing, what you should be considering when it comes to your web design, your SEO, and everything else there is to do when it comes to digital marketing online. Now, that's a tall order. We don't have long to do it, but we're going to do our very best. Rafi, it's great to have your company with us today.
Thank you very much.
Rafi, let's find out a little bit about you. I mean, we're going to be talking about digital marketing. How long have you been involved in that whole area of web design, SEO? How long have you been doing that?
8 years now.
8 years.
Yes.
And it's quite a competitive industry out there because we all receive the emails on an ongoing basis that we saying, we can put you on the front page of Google. How much store do you put by those?
Well, even I received those emails myself. But I think the way it started was when I basically worked in my different roles across the digital industry. I picked up coding, sending newsletters, need a bit of HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript, and eventually PHP. But then my wife showed me how to use WordPress, and it just literally, changed the way I build websites.
I love the idea about the fact that you picked up a bit of coding. I mean, people would give their right arm to be able just to pick up a bit of coding. But it's interesting, the fact is that you've gone through the whole HTML. If you're not familiar with HTML, that's the coding language that is used when it comes to developing websites. Traditionally, that is the way you used to write a website. I'm right in saying that?
Absolutely, yes.
And so HTML was the coding language that you would do, and that's how you would design your pages. And that went through a whole number of different kind of developments. We had, was it CSS and all this kind of thing? I mean, I don't even know what that means, but I'm saying the letters. What does that mean?
So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's just another programming language, but it deals with only the visual representation of the website. So where you want to place the logo, how big should it be, where should the menus be, the font size, the font types, the logos, the images, the videos, every single visual element, you can control it using CSS. JavaScript is when you're clicking with your mouse or using keyboard, so interactions to do JavaScript. And then HTML is just the actual, basically the container that holds everything together. Then PHP is the dynamic bit. So when you want interaction, movements on the page, that's when you need to access a database. That's when things get a bit more interesting, and hence PHP comes into play.
And of course, 10 years, maybe 5 years ago, that was the norm, wasn't it? If you wanted a website, it would have to be done using all the things that you just said, all the magic. There was a bit of HTML, a bit of JavaScript, a bit of PHP. Now, they haven't all gone away. They're all still there, but there are easier ways now of using them, aren't there? And I suppose what we're leading up to is WordPress.
That is correct.
And our site is based in WordPress. Thousands of sites. And of course, what's the background to WordPress?
So I think about 11 years ago, WordPress started out as simply a blogging platform. So if you go to wordpress.com, you can literally open your own subdomain. So it's sitting back on the WordPress domain, and it's free, and you can actually have your own identity, but using WordPress's hosting. So you don't have to pay for any hosting company that they will store your website. So you can actually go out there, open it within minutes, and actually blog your way. Then I think there was more of a need to have a content management system, meaning the ability for a website user to actually log in at the back end and actually add, and more, not just the text and images, but much more. Let's say you want to show your Twitter, or you want to show your Instagram photos, then how would you add that? So there's more functionalities through little pieces of software that they call plugins. So there's a lot of terms maybe it's good if I go through them one by one later on.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose the thing is, isn't it, when we were looking at the old way of doing websites, the HTML and all of that, as we said, a lot of the functionality was there, but it was complicated to implement. And whereas with WordPress, it's an easier platform to manage yourself. It's got a lot of support out there in the community. There are thousands upon thousands of plugins that will add extra functionality to what is fundamentally a very easy kind of program to use. So it really has developed. It's developed into a proper, grown-up web development tool, isn't it?
Yes, that's absolutely right. I think it's just much more than just a web development tool. It's actually more of a content management tool once you've built the site. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to just, spend time building the perfect site. It's more about marketing for the website, getting the relevant traffic to your site. But WordPress allows you to just build it, set it up, and even within a day, you can actually have a full-blown live website as long as you have the content ready.
Now you do training on WordPress, and you go out there and you've worked with the likes at the Google Academy and people like that, and you've gone along and you've done some of that and you've taught people about it. What do you think the biggest issues are that people have initially when they're starting off to use WordPress?
It's twofold. One is literally the basics of using a computer. So there's that level of beginners who are not familiar with using a computer. So like even to send an email or using a browser. For them, I think it
sounds like my dad.
Yeah, even mine. So to be honest with you, once you're used to and you're comfortable using a browser, you know how to browse and you know how to send an email, that's when you're ready to take on WordPress. Because no matter how easy WordPress is, you still need that basics. The second group of people is where they're used to sending emails. They're the people you'll see in the bus or the tube, constantly on their phones, or they've got their laptops in front of them, typing away. So they're the ones who are ideal candidates for using WordPress, because A, you've got your own laptop, and B, all you need is a browser. You can access your own website through a browser. You just need internet access, and that's it.
All right, well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this. I think that's what it's all about. Just to find out what we're going to be doing tonight, we are actually going to be showing you, hopefully, we're going to show you what you should be considering when it comes to actually getting your WordPress site up. Where will we kick off? I mean, let's jump right into the deep end. What's the first thing to actually do?
The first thing you must do is to understand the difference between the two versions of WordPress. The free version is, if you go to WordPress.com, you can open a free account, but it's got its limitations because it's based on the actual servers on WordPress. They won't let you install plugins, which you need when you want extra functionalities. The other version is when you're paying for your own web hosting, and web hosting is simply a service that you pay for and they take care of your website for you. So if anything breaks down, if it gets attacked, if there's an issue with it, they will help you with it. If you need to open an email account for your domain, they will help you. So if you buy a web hosting package, and all you need then is basically to log into that control panel, click a button and install WordPress. A few years ago, you had to spend half an hour, if not an hour, to actually create a database, download the files from WordPress.org, which is the other version of WordPress that I'm talking about, and then you actually have to configure the database, install it, and fingers crossed, hope it works. Now, you click a button, and which is sitting in your hosting's control panel, and it's up and running. It's that simple.
And a lot of the hosting companies now actually will make it very easy to install WordPress, won't they? Now, for instance, we're with a particular hosting company, and we did exactly what Rafi said just then. We downloaded WordPress from WordPress.org. We downloaded it, we unpack it, we then put it up onto our servers, which belong to somebody else, obviously. And then what we have to do is we have to configure and sort out the databases, which is where it stores all the information about what pages are in your website, what data you've got, what pictures you've got, what websites you've got. So we've had to go through the long, drawn-out process of installing a WordPress site.
Right.
But today, make certain then, is your recommendation, make certain that you're going to a web hosting company that makes it easy to install a WordPress.
That is correct. Actually, I have partnered with a web hosting company, and what they've told me, look, because I train absolute beginners on how to build websites, and I run a one-day course which is free to attend as long as you sign up for your own hosting package. And it's for the whole day. In 8 hours they get to build their site from scratch. They leave with a 5-page website which they can then build and continue.
That sounds like that could be the plug. Don't worry, all the details to find out where Rafi actually does the courses will be sitting below this particular program on the website, and also on the YouTube channel as well, for that matter. Tell you what, we're going to come back and we're going to be diving straight in and showing you what you need to do when it comes to uploading perhaps maybe your first WordPress website in just a few moments' time. But before that, let's have a look back at last week's program. Really interesting show. We were talking about the entrepreneurial spirit in young people. Entrepreneur or university. Josh Pearce of My PT Plan, he joined us on the program, and he talked about his experience on how he went from, well, deciding whether he should be going to university or whether he should go down the path of being an entrepreneur. In no time at all, he was selling companies and decided not. He missed out on university, he doesn't think. Now, as an entrepreneur, he's doing very nicely. Thank you very much. But does it take a special kind of person? I tell you what, let's look back at last week's edition of Business Connections Live. My guest tonight is Josh Pearce of My PT Plan.
Well, I've got a background to sales and marketing. I started an original business which was the UK fuel saving. I think any business can be successful. It's down to the main philosophy of the people who are running the business. I was known as a bit of a wheeler dealer between the ages of 13 to 15. I think naturally it's come to me to be able to work out a decent proposition. I started my first business in March 2012, and it was 2012 when I was meant to go to university. And I thought to myself, is this really the place I want to be for the next 3 years of my life? A big person and a big mentor for me has been Brad Burton, the director of 4 Networking, and he does say to people, you know, you're in your job, you're safe, fantastic, but what happens when you're made redundant? The business proposition was given to me through a leaflet form for a multi-level marketing opportunity. You know, it was a new product to the UK, no one really heard of it. Everyone was sceptical when you first told them, and I did a lot of networking with it. And I turned up, and I was sat around a circular table with 8 people, and one lady did sort of printing, but her husband was the financial director for one of the UK's largest courier companies. And it ended up, we gave them a trial. We gave them a trial for 6 months to use on 3 of their vehicles, and they saved 18%. We got one courier company, then we had another courier company, and that came through word of mouth. Because generally the way courier companies work, they're self-employed drivers, and they rent a vehicle off them or they bring their own vehicle. And one driver went from one company to another company and sort of said, oh, I've got this stuff. And everyone, you know, it was the traditional thing of it's Chinese whispers, and that spread around the 2nd largest courier company in the UK. And we ended up with a contract for 4 of the biggest courier companies in the UK. Well, it's Josh Pearce, Company Director of Evo Nutrition and My PT Plan. Look guys, I had a decision when I was 18 years old. Do I go to university or do I become self-employed? Do I run that risk? Do I not have the backup plan of education? And I worked towards a goal, I worked towards a target. I had plans in place to be able to make myself what I am and where I am today. It's all about you, it's all about yourself. There's no magical formula, there's no magic book you can read. Look, there's people around you, there's people who can help you, but it's all down to you, and it's down to the personality you've got. I've had massive support from family, friends and business mentors along the way, and that's really helped me. But the one thing I want to leave you with tonight is the fact that look at yourself and just say to yourself, you can do it. There's been many a time across the last 3 years I've thought to myself, I can't do this anymore. And I put my head in my hands on a couple of occasions on days where it's been really bad, and I've just said to myself, do you know what, I can do it. And it's been through the help of people in the 4 networking arena, which I'm a massive admirer of. And it's been down to a community of people, and I think that's really important for you. One piece of advice I must say is get yourself into that peace of mind where you have people around you to comfort, support you, and make business a pleasure as well, because everything I do, I love doing. I wake up on a Monday morning and you know what, I don't think to myself, I don't want to be in work today. I don't not want to have that, you know, 9 to 5 job. I said to Steve before, look, I was in the fortunate position after working quite hard to be able to take off for 3 months last summer, and that was down to me being self-employed. And that was because I had planning and preparation previously done, and sat down and I set targets for myself. I met them targets and I was able to do it. I've set 3 businesses up and I've successfully sold 1, and I've got 2 more in order to be going forward. And I really want to leave you with one thing: you can do it. Believe in yourself. I believed in myself, and look where I am today. And not many people did believe in me when I was younger on, apart from my family and apart from mum and dad, who have really always been there for me. But you know, I went to a grammar school. I was told I had to go to university. I refused a place doing business and law at one of the top universities in this country, and I was able to stand there and say to myself, now I've done it on my own back, and I've set businesses up. It's not been an easy journey, and the thing is, I've learned many things along the way.
So that's last week's show there with Josh Pearce of My PT Plan. And as you can see there, it seems to him that being an entrepreneur is really what it's all about. A really big awakening in his life at the age of 18. As it said, just to remind you, he turned down a place at York University to follow his dream of being his own boss. And it looks like so far it's actually worked. My guest this evening is Rafi Akbar, founder and CEO of Lucky Webs. His background is in digital marketing, web design, social media, e-commerce, and those 3 dangerous words: SEO, search engine optimization. Rafi, we're going to dig straight in. Then I would imagine we're going to start looking. Let's have a gander at what's on your screen. What are you going to be showing us first of all?
So today I'm going to show you how to actually install WordPress. Basically, there's 2 versions, as I said: the free version and the self-hosted version, where you're paying for a web hosting provider. You know, whether it's £3 a month or £10 a month or more. So the one I do recommend is Bluehost, because it's literally for startups. You know, it's only a few pounds a month, and there's no limitations in size. And when you're logged into your hosting panel, let's say when you're in Bluehost control panel, you'll see an install WordPress icon. You click that icon, and the next page that you see is literally what's on my screen.
Let's have a look at that right now then, shall we? Well, there we go. So welcome to the famous 5-minute WordPress installation process. Just fill in the form below, and you'll be on your way to using the most extendable and powerful personal publishing platform in the world. All right, then far away then. So, site title. Now, this is quite important, isn't it? You really got to consider this, haven't you?
Yes. Although the good thing about WordPress, you can always change it or edit that. So right now, when you're actually installing WordPress for the first time, it's not really good to sort of spend too much time on these things, like, you know, choosing a domain or choosing site title. You're actually a beginner. What's important is you start the process and you get used to the process of building the site, because even when you complete the website, if you're a startup or an individual, you might have second thoughts about the name of the domain. You might have second thoughts about the entire content. So think of yourself as a beginner, and this is a small project. That's the best advice I can give anyone, because
get out there and play with it.
Yes.
All right then. So where you go then?
So like I said, I'm going to make up a name for now for the site, for the website. So let's just call it, let's say it's a startup, and I'll just say Lucky Startups. I like the word lucky here. So, and usernames. Now, it's been on BBC a few years ago. A lot of websites tend to get hacked. So to prevent yourself from getting attacked or by your websites being taken away, always have a strong username and a password. And so it shouldn't be 3 letters or 4 letters word, not something so simple, because easier to sort of break into them. There's a thing called brute force attack. It takes a few seconds, and this software can be bought from anywhere, literally by anyone. So to protect yourself, I would say, as an example, use an email address, which is quite long. It's got the @ symbol, it's got dots as well, so it's a bit more complicated. And always use an email address which is a personal email address, not your domains, because if anything goes wrong with the website, then you won't be able to log in. So let's say I would make an email address here. If I put my email address there, and also making sure that the password is not very weak. It should be a strong password. Leading by example here.
And when you're thinking up passwords, once again, not your personal name. They actually say now that it shouldn't actually be proper words. It should be upper and lowercase, alphanumeric. So it's both. You've got capital letters, lowercase characters in it, numbers, a funny old sequence. A good tip, by the way, if you're trying to think up of a really, really good password, think of a sentence that you'll never forget. Include maybe numbers in it. I enjoyed my favourite holiday in 1993 in Tenerife, and then take the first letter of each of the words and use the number that's in there as well. Then all of a sudden what you've got is you've got a very powerful password, haven't you?
That is correct. Absolutely. That's a great example. I think I'm going to use that next time.
You're going to use that next time?
I think so.
Thank you. It's of no charge.
Brilliant. Good. So now what I'm going to do is basically, remember, it says a 5 minutes installation. Now, literally it took you what? A couple of minutes to go through this?
A couple of seconds practically, yes.
All you have to do is click that install WordPress. I would leave this on because even if you're starting out, let the search engines do their job. There's no reason to block them. So click install WordPress and then it's going to be installed.
Crikey, that was quick.
Click save password. If it's your own laptop, of course, that's a great way to just do it.
But never ever do it if you're on a public machine.
That is absolutely correct. In fact, if anything, if you're using Google Chrome, there's an option where it says new incognito window. Incognito is where even cookies aren't stored. So I would recommend that you use that as well.
Wow. Didn't even know that was there.
And now you do.
Now I do. Gosh.
So, now, the next thing is to log into your website. The first thing you need to know is actually the URL when you're logging in. So when you're going to visit your own website, assuming you actually chose a domain when you signed up to, let's say, Bluehost, then it needs to be your domain in the browser window, followed by /WP, short for WordPress, -admin. So I'll just type this actually here to make it easier. So if you put your domain, whatever your domain is, this is not going to be here, it's going to be on the browser window.
Okay.
So let's say you choose your domain and then /WP-admin. And then just memorize this bit, literally, or save it or write it down, /WP-admin. So this is how you log in to the dashboard of your WordPress site. That's when you'll see this control panel. And then you can enter your login details, click login, and you'll jump straight into your WordPress dashboard.
And of course what WordPress is doing, and the thing that's surprising about that, how incredibly quick that is. And you know, you're over our broadband, you're logging into Bluehost, and I mean that is incredibly quick. I mean there are a lot of web host companies out there without they'd be thinking about it still.
Absolutely, and to be honest, speed is quite, is essential. But then one thing I should clarify is there are two versions within this version of WordPress. So one is if you want to use the browser, as long as you have your own domain and you've got the hosting, you can literally log into your live website. As a beginner, I do recommend you do that because you can always put a holding page on top of it so that no one else can see what you're doing. But because for this demo purposes, what I'm using is the offline version, which is why you probably see localhost on the browser.
That's what.
So just clarifying.
And that also suggests why the speed's coming up so quickly as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So now moving on, just to give you a quick summary of what the dashboard entails. So first you'll see the very name dashboard, and that's the site title which shows up here, and my email address which is showing up here. Now home is literally this dashboard. It's a quick summary of how many blog post articles you have, how many pages you have, and who's commented on your blog article. Now because WordPress by default creates a page and a post by default, that's why we have these, and you can create your own articles in the post section. Posts and pages are separate.
What is the difference between a post and a page?
So if I go to posts,
right,
it's better if I show you the difference.
Okay.
So if I go to post, add new, and post is basically the same exact thing as a blog article. So let's give this article a name. So let's say how to start a WordPress blog. Okay.
Righto.
Now here I can add my own content. You can do the same thing with post. There's few differences between post and a page. The first difference is categories. You can categorize posts or articles. You don't categorize pages. You don't have the option to categorize a page. So
and when you say categorize, you mean what?
So I mean, just like in a library, you have different categories. So if I want to, this post is all about WordPress, how to set up a blog. So I would add a category and call it blog. And there you go. If you think, no, maybe it's a bit too general, I can add another category, call it WordPress. Or maybe I can say blogging.
And who's this for the
WordPress.
benefit of then? Is this for your benefit, so that when you're looking back at the pages later on, that you know what the different pages are about, or is it, or are we telling search engines that this is about, it's a post about blogging?
All of the above, but primarily your users, your readers, whoever's visiting your site, it's really for them, so they can see, okay, they've got different categories. Because if you write web posts or blog posts, even if it's once a month or once a week, eventually you have hundreds of blog articles. If a visitor comes in and there's a list of 100 articles, even in links, it's quite difficult for someone to just find the article they're looking for, because not really everyone is into searching. Everyone's into searching in Google. But when they're on your website, they need to do a quick way, because people like to sift through very quickly. And it's essential for them to be able to see a category. Oh, okay, it's about WordPress. That's what I want. That's what I was looking for. And they'll click there. Because if they don't see something like a category, they'll probably close that tab and move on.
People have a very short attention span, don't they?
We all do, when it comes to visiting websites.
Next. Right then.
So that's one difference, the post. And the second difference between a post and a page is the ability to comment. Someone can always comment an article. And the third is a byline. So when I publish this post, so let's say I'm going to fill this up with text. So I use lipsum.com to, as a filler text, just for this example here. So if I just copy some text here and I paste the text over here, probably pasted stuff which I didn't want to paste, but hey, there's the text. Now let's say I want to publish this. So if I just click publish, and then I click view post, here's my article.
Published. And
here's the title of the article, here's the text, and anything else that I've copied. And now you can see the date it was published, the name, and the category. Now this is quite interesting. I don't want people to see my email address. Neither would you. So how would we go about changing that? So I would actually click on edit post to edit this post again. Now this is the dashboard. The way I work is I actually, instead of clicking view post here, I right click this and open it in a new tab. That way I can see the front end, and this is the back end. So if I now quickly go there and I want to add an image, you just click that button called add media and you click select files, and if I go to a folder where, let's say, I've got an image and I click open, I've just added it to my WordPress media library. Here's an option. I can say, okay, I want to align left. I don't want this to be clickable, so no links behind the image. And okay, let's make it medium size. So WordPress actually resizes an image as well, so no matter how large it is, which is quite handy. And if I click insert post, here's the image, and I click update. And now if I come back to the front end, all I have to do is refresh this page, and here's the image.
Now you put the picture in, but what about getting rid of the email?
So if I want to get rid of the email, I have to go into the users area. So I don't want to lose these pages because I want to continue. So I'm just going to right click this again, open it in a new tab, and here's the user which we've created when we first set up the website. Click edit. Now the first name and the last name, it's good to have the names, because once you type in your name, it could be an alias, and whatever you type in here, as soon as you come back, there's a nickname here as well, so I can always replace this with Rafi. And then display name publicly as, this will now change, and you can see how you want to be represented.
Oh, I see.
And all I have to do is scroll down, update profile. I can now close this window, and as you can see here, it's that same email, but if I refresh this page, there you go.
And that you really do need that security, don't you?
Yes.
You don't really want to give any, if you excuse the expression, backdoor ways into your website, do you?
That is correct. A lot of people don't even start because they don't even know how to keep it private, because privacy is so important these days. People just want to know more about it, and really I help educate that, look, as long as you learn more, you can control the way how your data is published online. So now to continue, we have one post, how to start a WordPress blog. Now I can go back to posts, and I will see that's the post. This is the second post, which was already created when you install WordPress for the first time.
Hello world,
hello world.
Ambiguous hello world, yes.
Absolutely. So if I now go back, let's say I want to copy a bit more text as well, but this time just a paragraph. I can paste it here. What I'll do slightly different is I'll have a heading. So if I now choose this, what's missing for beginners, which they don't know, is there's an icon here. If you hover over it, the tooltip tells you it's a toolbar toggle. You just click that once and watch what happens. Another row of functions will appear. So now you've got this other row. This is quite important because you can undo, you can add indent or decrease the indent, you can add special characters on your blog, you can copy paste, change the color of your text.
I think I've seen that referred to as the kitchen sink, isn't it, sometimes?
That is correct.
So it's everything and the kitchen sink.
Yep.
I like
the kitchen sink. So now this is a paragraph text. What's important to be found in Google as well is the structure of your website. So the name of a post is usually header 1. It's the largest font size for the site. So when you want to add a different header for your within the post or a page, it should not be a header 1. It should be heading 2. So it's more like a cascading, really, from header 1, header 2, header 3, and these are the paragraph text.
And why do we do that? So why is it, so for instance, we're editing there, and our title of our page is a header 1, and then the subsequent titles after that are header 2, 3, 4, and so on.
Correct.
So as we go down, as we drill our way in, why are we doing that? Whose benefit is that for?
Structure. Structure is essential when we're displaying content, because it's not just beneficial for you when you're building the pages, it's also beneficial for the users because it's more readable. Because of the font size, the headers, you know that's the main topic, that's the main title of the whole blog post. Once you go inside it, just like newspapers, magazines, similarly online as well, a structure is very important. And in fact, it's been known it's one of those key options or functions that you need to implement so that in terms of search engine optimization, so that your site is found.
And that is very true, isn't it? Because Google is looking at those headers, isn't it?
That's correct.
It is looking at the number 1, the header 1, and the header 2, isn't it? They're the ones it's looking at. It's interesting. I mean, if you go on to our website, this is technology now really brushing out, but you'll see here, so that there on our page on the business show, in fact, where we met Rafi, in fact, so that there is a header 1. That actually down there actually is a header 2. It doesn't look like it, but it is a header 2 that we're using there, quite a long one there. And if you go up to the very top of our page here, so Business Connections Live, the business show Olympia. So what we're hoping for is that people will be finding it on that particular information at the top. Now you're already looking at that going, well, that's not right. That's I can see ways to improve that.
Absolutely, yes, I can. I mean, it's more important to do your research and see what people are typing already in Google. So if you have a Gmail account, and if you open a free Webmaster Tools account for Google, if you have a free Google Analytics account, and also a Google AdWords account, and this is all free to open. Now in Google AdWords, there's a tool called Google Keyword Planner. That tool will give you indications as to what people are typing online, how much traffic can you expect from that, how much competition is there, because when you're starting out, you should not really use keywords which is quite competitive. You should always start with the low-hanging fruit and then work your way up. And it's also essential to have other websites linking to you using those keywords. Now it's referred to as backlinks, but what's more important is you need to gain these links naturally. You need to create content that will encourage people to link to you with those keywords. And these days people are aware of keywords naturally. Web designers, content people, when they're actually publishing content and linking to you, they will actually know, okay, this is about WordPress, I will mention WordPress in the link.
Well, let's go back to what you were looking at, to your particular site that we're talking about there. And we're talking about WordPress. It's a site about my first blog. Should we say that your particular blog that you're setting up there is about WordPress? How do you then go about devising a title for it? A title that people will find, a title that Google will pick up. Can you just show us how you go about doing that?
I think for that, you first need to find out what those keywords are. Again, you need to go into Google Keyword Planner for that. So, because going through that is very lengthy.
That's another program.
It's another program entirely.
Right, okay.
I can definitely, I'm more than happy to come back and go through that in one process.
I'm sure you are.
But that's more about search engine optimization. Today I was hoping to basically show you how to actually
That's
build
me just
a blog.
jumping too far forward. Okay, so right, we've got our page up, which is important. And so the next step, we're going to be looking at the next step on that you do after that. Can I just remind you, if you are watching us for the first time, it's great to have your company. Rafi Akbar is my guest. He's founder and CEO of Lucky Webs, and his background is in digital marketing, web design, social media, e-commerce, and SEO. Passionate about all of those different things. He actually runs training courses. I don't know whether we can actually see the kind of training courses that he actually does. He goes out there. Where do you do the training courses?
Google Campus in Old Street.
Google Campus, easy for me to say. Google Campus, you can just kind of see, there's just a couple of stills that we got from it. As you can see, proper training. People turn up there with their laptop. What's just going on here? You've got lots of people very intent on what you're saying.
Well, they're trying to understand how to actually set up a blog, and I was actually going through the same steps that I'm going through now. So it's basically they're taking notes, and this was before, because now it's more hands-on. Now every single person brings their laptop and they set up a domain and they set up their hosting. Now if they sign up through Bluehost and I'm in partners with them, they actually get a domain free of charge for the first year, and they get a discount as well.
And I can see that they actually had their laptops on the lab there. I mean, it was there forever, wasn't it? But you could actually see they had their laptops sitting on their laps, and they were actually working along with Rafi as he was actually explaining and describing what you should do. And that's hopefully what you're doing right now. So let's go back to what we're saying here. We've got our blog page up. Where do we go now?
So now all we have is blog posts, but this is going to be a website, not just a blog. That's the main difference. So I just wanted to get the blog post out of the way. So let's say we want to give this something else. Let's say we want to call it how to create a theme. Now in WordPress terms, theme is actually the layout of the website, the look and feel of the website. And if I now add a title called Finding a Theme Online, and if I now update that, let's say I'm just changing the existing one, which is Hello World, into how to create a theme. What I would like to show you is that now we've got 2 blog posts. Now one other thing I would love to do is to add not just images within your blog articles, but also to add an image as a featured image. And this is quite important as well. It's easier to just show you the benefit rather than explaining it in words. So if I now quickly add a featured image, just going to add a different image this time. Because with featured images, you just upload it and set it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to align it anywhere. So that's done with one blog article. And the second one as well. So let's choose a different one this time.
I hope you're following along at home at the moment on this one.
All I'm doing is just pointing and clicking.
Yep.
And with time and practice, you will be probably even faster than me. Now, we're actually done with the posts, but we don't have any pages. So this is where we create the pages.
Now, why do we need pages and we can't just have posts?
Because posts show who the author is. It's when published. So it's more current news. So when it's to do with your opinions or articles that you want to share it with the world, that's when you create them as posts. But when you have a page, the first page that people visits as your home page, that shouldn't say written by Rafi or you. It should
that's
really
interesting. The
page.
terminology that you've just used there kind of explains it all. So when you visit the site for the first time, you're going to the home page.
Correct.
And then you go to your blog pages and all your blog posts. So there's a real differentiation there. One are posts and the other one is a page.
That's right.
Now, am I right in saying that the posts are dynamic, they can change, but the home page is a static page? Is that right?
Now this is sort of it's, I wouldn't say
I'm not
this
right,
is
am I?
absolutely right. No, unfortunately, I'm trying to be nice here.
Yeah,
so
be as blunt as you need to be, Rafi.
In WordPress's eyes, they're both exactly the same.
Right.
But visually for us users, you wouldn't see a byline. You wouldn't see the publish date on a page. You wouldn't see a category. You wouldn't see categories or even tags. So a page doesn't have those options. But what a page does have is the ability for you to actually order pages on your site, or you can add templates. A page can have different layouts, while a post should have the same simple layout so that it's predictable. They know it's a post. Pages, each page can look completely different than the other. That's down to you. So if I now come back...
So where do I go to then when I go to your site? What page do I go to, or post do I go to when I log on to your site? Say I'm going to rafi.co.uk. Where do I land? What's my landing page?
So let's say you go to my site, luckywebs.co.uk. The first site will be the home page, which will show you a few videos, introduction to WordPress, where I teach WordPress, just some basic information.
Is that a log? Is that a post?
It's actually a page.
It's a page.
It's a page.
Right.
Then,
so is it a static page?
To be honest, a page can be changed as well.
Yeah.
So you can go inside and add more images.
All right.
And you can do the same with the blog article.
Yeah, I understand that. But I suppose the point I'm trying to get to is that the home page on a website is differentiated from
any other page.
From any other page.
That is right.
Because that is, for instance, on our page, when you go to businessconnectionslive.com, that takes you to a page that the only thing that changes on it is, in fact, the video. It's dynamic in some of the content, but fundamentally it's where it always goes to on that page.
I think what you're trying to then say is, let's say I have different dates in the future where I'm running these courses. So let's say one course I ran last week. Now I need to remove that date from my homepage. Yes, you're right. I can go back and change that date.
You can change it,
in front of users, it'll be dynamic.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Technically, you can also do that in a blog post. You can go inside and change the dates as well. But yes, the homepage is more of a summary.
It's more consistent, the homepage, isn't it?
It's more consistent. You wouldn't really change it as often. In a blog post, maybe the next year, you might want to go back and change some things because it's not current anymore. So you might change certain bits on the blog article, but a homepage, you'll probably leave it as it is and change only the bits to do with dates.
I liken it to owning a house. The house is your homepage. You can paint the front door, you can change the curtains, but when you go inside, what you can do, you can wallpaper the walls, and you can do all sorts of things on those. And if you want to, you can build an extension on the back, another room.
Yes.
But it's a bit like that. Anyway, we're getting confusing now, so let's move on. Right.
So if I now go back into pages, now there is a sample page already. What I'm going to do is just rename that to home.
Right.
Just for us. And if I click update, and then if I close that tab because that's to do with the post and I want to see what my home page looks like, I right click on view page, open link in new tab, and now you can see the home page. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that this still looks like a blog because you've got the sidebar. This area is usually called a sidebar. So you've got the left sidebar, and it still looks like a blog. Now this is where you need a theme, a paid theme. I would never recommend anyone to use a free theme. A theme is actually a layout, the look and feel. Just to give you one example, if you go to a site called woothemes.com.
Here it comes.
And they've got themes. So if I go to all themes, and here's a theme called Canvas. If I click on view this theme, so this is a layout for an existing WordPress site. So you can see you can buy a theme, but before you even pay for it, why would you buy it? Is it good enough for me? I need to check it out. So what I would do first is click on the live demo. So online, whenever you're looking for a layout for your site, because you don't need to spend time with layouts, you can always change colors within the themes itself. They give you the option to change the logo, the text, the colors in the background. When you hover on a layout, you can change the text, you can change everything. It's just the basic structure is there for you, and it's showing you the potential of what it would look like when you're done with it. So once you're saying, okay, this is good, I actually like, there's another menu here, and there's a main menu over here, and there's a image here, slider image, which is we can change as well. and then you've got products you can sell. So there's a lot of potential. But if you're happy with this theme, what you then would do is you buy the theme. And once you, if I was to go back, and then if I click add to cart and I go through the process of buying it, I would then be able to download this theme. And whenever you download a theme, you would download it as a zip file, always. Sometimes, if you, and you, depending on your computer, the computer might actually unzip it for you, especially on some Macs. I would recommend you select all those files and again right click and compress them, put it back into zip, because that's when you can install it. So if I go into appearance, go into themes, and you can see I'm using a free theme. When you install WordPress for the first time, you'll see these themes are given to you for free.
Could you, if you wanted to, and you, I mean, for instance, we were looking at $99 there, or £99. Could we use one of initially one of the free themes for our website if we wanted to?
Yes, absolutely. As a beginner, yes, you can. The only reason I sort of went against it in the beginning is because a free theme, does not allow you to have a lot of options. Because of that, you might probably end up spending even a year, and even finding out other designers to actually come and add coding, because you wouldn't know coding, and then you have to go into other websites and finding freelancers to help you with it, and that goes against the whole point of building your own website your way. So if you pay £50, £60 to buy a theme, it gives you the option to change the font color, change things that you couldn't do on a free theme. Now, if I show you install this theme for you, you'd see the difference clearly.
Okay, then fire away.
So if I click add new, so let's assume I've already downloaded the theme and it's in my computer sitting there somewhere. So instead of having to buy any theme here, I would just click upload theme, choose a file, and I'll go inside my directory, and here's the theme, canvas.zip. Zip format, I open it and I install the theme. Once I've installed it, I need to activate it. I click activate. If I go back, this is what it used to look like.
Right.
If I now refresh this, here you go. It looks completely different.
So all of a sudden then it's looking a lot more professional, isn't it? And I see that it's actually changed the layout completely. So on the right hand side of the screen, we've got a bar down the side. It's got all our archives, our categories, and the whole thing just looks more professional. The way the text is laid out, it really does look rather nice, doesn't it, now all of a sudden?
Much better than before, but we still have a long way to go. For others, they might say, oh, I don't want this showing up on my site. I still don't want a sidebar on my home page, but I actually want a logo here.
Let's have a look at the page once again. So yes.
So let's say you want to actually remove the text and add your own logo. You can do that now easily. Let's say you want to remove the sidebar and you want to have a full width home page, and you want to remove these bits. On a free theme, these things you need to know a bit of coding to do. But if I now go back into the dashboard, Canvas is now showing up. It wasn't there before. This is actually the theme options. So if I click on Canvas one more time, now I'll see all the options. It will allow me now to add a logo.
Oh gosh, so you can now go into it and customize it.
Absolutely, you can customize a lot more. This in itself is its own control panel just for your theme. So if I now go into, let's say, layouts, I can say by default I want all my sites, all my pages not to have any sidebar if I wanted to. But generally it's good to have a sidebar by default. I can always individually change a page and remove a sidebar if I have to. But this is my favorite. For this theme, it doesn't show up on every theme. So that's why buying a theme, sometimes it's a bit of trial and error. So you can see here, if I want to actually change the width, let's say I want to make the body of the site a bit more wider, I can actually drag this now.
Gosh, and it's as easy as that to do.
And save changes. And then I can refresh this, and it will actually start to look more and more, less and less wider. So obviously, if I go back more, 2 columns to the left, save changes, go back, refresh. Sometimes could be to do with caching issues, but it's just a matter of time. Just remember how this looks like now, and then when we come back again, it will start to change. Now, if I was to take this and then I click Save Changes, and now if I refresh it, there.
That's very, very... I love the fact that you've got this flexibility and the speed that you can actually change the layout and the look of the page. It's just amazing.
And what's amazing is I've actually never used this before. That's why I figured out literally on the go. But because a lot of people don't need to do that, but something you can actually do. But what I would show you a bit more is if I go into, let's say, header and footer, and I scroll down, enable custom footer right. If I just take that, I just want to activate this, and I'll leave this as it is, and I click Save Changes. If I now go back, remember this bit?
Yes.
So this is the footer area.
Yes.
The lower part of the site. And I wanted this to be removed because I actually just enabled the right footer area and I didn't add anything else. Now it should be blank. So if I refresh it, it's blank. Now it's starting to look more and more.
And it's looking more and more like a site that you've coded yourself. It's not carrying brandings of somebody else. It's not encouraging them to go off and go somewhere else. It's, you know, you're actually, it's your proper job, isn't it? It's your proper site.
Yes. And if I show you now how to add a logo, you'll be even more, you know, surprised, pleasantly.
Go on then, far away.
So if you go to General Settings, and you can see Custom Logo. Now I've basically created a logo and myself. Now you can actually, you know, go to websites like Fiverr, fiverr.com, or People Per Hour, or freelancer.com, and you can get someone to design a logo for $5 or $10, and rather than having to spend time doing that, once you get that logo on your computer, all you have to do is just come back to your dashboard, click upload, and then upload that logo. So I've already set up a logo. Let me just find that, and there it is. And I'm uploading that logo, a generic logo. I've just set it up myself, and it's showing up here, so it's all good. All I have to do is now making sure I click Save Changes. So one thing you have to get used to is making sure you save changes every time you make a change. So now if I refresh this, here's the logo.
It's as simple and straightforward as that. And that's going to be on every page now as well.
On every single page. Now obviously I only have one home page. Now there's a bit of a glitch, as you can see. There's 2 home pages, but that's because we have to set up the menu, which we haven't. But we need a few pages before we can even create the menu. Otherwise there's no pages to use the menu for.
100 years ago, when I was playing with WordPress, I have vague memories that I had to go in on one of the pages to tell the page that it was the home page. Do you still have to do that?
Yes. You have to set and tell WordPress this is the home page.
All right. How do you do that?
So the way to do that is you go to Settings, you go to Reading, and you can see Front Page. So in WordPress terms, Front Page is the home page.
Yes.
Currently you can see it shows your latest blog articles.
Oh, I see.
And that is actually the home, which you're seeing in one of them. The second one is the one that I've set up as a page, so that's why there's 2. But if I say I want the home page to be just home, now in this drop down you're only seeing home because that's the only page that's available.
The only page and not a post.
Yes. You won't see posts showing up here anyway.
Yep.
It's only pages. So now I choose that as a home page.
Listening.
Yes. So if I choose that now, and then I click Save Changes, and if I go back and refresh, you'll still see 2 because we only set the home page as that page which I've set up. But in the menu, I need to say now there should be only one home page. And if I go into Appearance, here's Menus, and you can see it's blank. There's no menu. You have to give your menu a name because you might have a top menu and then a main menu and a footer menu as well. Some layouts allow you to have that. So let's say I'm just happy having one menu. I'll just give it a name called Menu. Create Menu. And because I only have one page, home, I can just click Add to Menu, making sure you're ticking that page first. Under Pages, Add to Menu, it shows up here. And because this theme, I'm used to using this theme, I know that you have to also say which of these menu is it? Is it the top menu or the normal menu? So I want the main menu, the primary menu, not the top. I click Save Menu. Now if I go back and refresh, there it is. And if I now click Home, it's not blog, it's actually my page. And if I click on the logo as well, it's still that page. So I've set the home page.
And do you know what, when you think back to the old days when it was HTML and you'd be doing this in Dreamweaver, to have done that would have taken forever, wouldn't it? And here we are in a matter of moments. You've now, from scratch, you've created a website, albeit only 2 pages, but I mean, you've got got to be so careful, haven't you? A single homepage and a blog page in there as well. So you can now actually start creating, you can start then adding on to that, and you actually now have a presence online, which is just so quick and so straightforward.
Yep. Do I have a little bit more time?
Yes, of course you do. We'll give you a little bit more time because it's absolutely fascinating.
So what I want to do is now, remember we created those 2 blog posts? They should be in a container page called blog. And that will be show the summary of each of these posts. Now, if I first go to settings here, and then reading, where I've set that up, there's a section called for each article in a feed show summary. It's very important you choose this so that on the blog page you see the summary of each article and not the full blog post itself. And you'll see what I mean. If I save changes now, and let's say I go to pages and I add a new page. This time I give it a name blog. It should be empty, and remember there's a difference. You can add a template. All I have to do is
because we've got that theme in there.
Absolutely right. Well
See,
done.
I am listening.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Before, if there was the free theme, you wouldn't actually see anything here. Just because this was a paid theme, the developer who created this theme, they've actually created these templates. So I'm choosing blog, and I click publish. That's all I do. It's a blank page. The template is blog. If I now go back and I refresh, nothing's showing up. But I know that I've created that page. All I do is go to menus again, which is under appearance. This time I can see in the most recent there's a blog page. It's just not on the menu. All I have to do is tick that, add to menu, save menu, go back, refresh, and here's a blog page. So if I go to blog, now I've got 1 blog article. Now you can see the difference, the byline, yep, my name, the date, and the category. How to create doesn't have a category. If I go back inside, edit this post, all I have to do is just change it to a category. So I would choose theme. I'm just saying themes is a category, update, and then making sure that's done, and then I click on view posts, and here it is, themes, and then show a little bit about the author as well and the comments area. Now you've got the blog page, which is great, but remember I added those featured images?
Yep.
They're not showing up. I mean, while it's nice to see there's a little bit of a summary, it's nice to see an image there as a thumbnail to give someone sort of an interest to actually click it. So what I would do then is go back into the theme settings, and if I go to dynamic images, scroll down, single post, which is the article, show thumbnail. I just have to tick that. These options, you do not get these options in a free theme.
So save the changes,
and
go back to our page, refresh, and there they are, the thumbnails. And in fact, if you go to our website, let me just get back to where I need to be, and then it's our watch again page that we need to be at. It may take a moment or two because we're a little bit slow in here, and there we go. And if you have a look here, you'll see there's last week's program when we were talking about Entrepreneur University, you decide, online marketing, and you see now these are all the thumbnails of what we've been talking about on previous programs. Now we'll see here we've got John Davies there, Why Your Business Needs Just Cash Flow. And as we were just saying, as Rafi was just saying, you don't get the entire blog there. What you're getting here is you're getting this text, a bit of a flavour to it. And then if you want to read more, if I click on that on our website, this will now take you to, there it is, it's now loading up. And now that is the post for that particular program. And as you see, there's the thumbnail at the top, there's our title, and as we work our way down, there's the actual program in its entirety that you can watch, and all the other details that are down there when it comes to what went out on that particular program. And if we go down the bottom of the page as well, you can see they're just some of the tags that we've used to tag that particular page. And if we keep going down, this is quite nice. On our particular theme, it tells you about related posts on this one. And if we go down the bottom of it, this is the footer that Rafi was talking about. You can see here the different categories that we have, our best bites, the short versions of our programs, watch again, the full versions of our programs, our video vault where we put stuff that's secret and we don't let you see, we don't want you to see, and presenter and guest. Actually, there's nothing in video vault. And on the latest post here, we've got Entrepreneurial University. Rafi's going to be up there later on the program. And categories over here, once again, we've got our different categories. Now, all that, now this is a different theme. Our particular theme is, I think our theme is called Profits Theme, in fact, okay, which is a theme that's designed for internet marketeers. We're thinking about changing the theme of the website and that as well, but that particular theme seemed to be suitable for what we were doing when we started off. If you decide on the theme, Rafi, are you stuck with it?
No. You can change it whenever you want. And again, that's the power of WordPress. Let's say you want to try that theme. So if you buy the theme and if you download it, and then let's say in a weekend, on a Sunday evening, you think, quiet time, I can set my maintenance page saying coming soon, and then you can actually change your theme, see what it looks like, if you're happy with it, and you can just make your site live again for people to see. And then it's great. If you think, no, it needs a little bit more tweaking, then what you can do is basically go back to your old theme again, and then whenever you think you want to work on that theme, you can actually work on that theme on your local WordPress version, just like I'm doing right now. And once you see that now the theme is perfect, you can then basically download that version from your offline version of the site and then upload that theme back to your site and then make it live.
I'll tell you what, it's been a fascinating hour. A fascinating hour. So we loaded WordPress. You showed us how to go about doing that. We created our first blog. We created a page. We uploaded graphics to it. We uploaded a logo to it. And we put a menu on it. And we did all of that from scratch in 1 hour. Is there anything else at that beginner's level that we need to be looking at?
I think people might now be asking, how do we add a video? How do we add footers? And I can show that very quickly as well.
Very quickly if you can.
If you give me a YouTube video so I can quickly get that video and put it there, that'd be great. So
well, why don't you go to our YouTube channel? So Business Connections Live, Business Connections Live at YouTube. So if you put that into your search engine, you should find Business Connections Live should come up. Are we there yet? There's one. Business Connections Live. There we are.
So let's say this is the video, and I want to add this video as one of my pages. So what I'm going to do is just basically go to Share, Embed, and just copy this.
The embed code.
The embed code. Copy it. I go back. So let's say I want to have another page, and I give it the name About, and I can go here, and instead of pasting it in the visual area, you can see there's 2 tabs. I'll click on text, and I can paste it here.
Am I right in saying that the text is more...
The coding
side of things,
That's right.
So visual is like when we're normally writing.
Yes.
And the text is the coding side.
So now if I go back to visual, there's the video.
Oh my word, look at that.
But if I click publish, and then I go back, in fact, it'll look nicer if I do add that page as well on the menu. And you can now drag it as well. Not as a sub menu, but as a menu. Save it, go back, and refresh again. Here's About. If I go inside About, here's the video. You can actually play it straight from the site.
Crikey.
Yep.
How quick was that? I mean, that is just sensational, isn't it? That is just sensational. The speed that actually happened, that was fabulous.
You might say, Rafi, I want this video to look larger and no sidebar. And that's what I wanted to also show. If I go back to the pages and then go to About, because it's a paid theme, I can now say, look, there's Canvas. That was the name of the theme. Right, so if I click that full layout, click Update, and remember in the embed code, the width actually was 560. So if I just change that to 960, let's just say, or maybe it could be 1200. Update.
It's going to be a bit squashed, isn't it?
We'll find out. So if I refresh that, I think 1200 was right. Yes.
The squash version.
But it's squash version. So what I would do then is that just to get that right size, I would come back here in YouTube and show more, and if I choose video size as custom, remember I knew the width was 1200.
Yeah.
I just click here once and it gives me the exact height I need to add. So if I now add that and replace that height by that, it's not going to look as squashed anymore.
And refresh the page.
There you go.
How about
Nice,
that? That is just terrific, isn't it? And it just shows you how quick and easy it is. If you've been terrified, there's something else you're going to show us, isn't there?
I wanted to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll tell you what, we're going to show in a second. If you've been terrified about maybe kicking off and actually doing your own website, maybe tonight we've put your mind at ease a little bit. If you've been laying awake at night, I mean, yes, there is a mountain of stuff to learn about SEO. There is a mountain of stuff to learn about e-commerce, social media, how you integrate it. But if you just need, maybe you've got a small business and you're just thinking, I just need to have a presence online. Now you can see how easy and straightforward it is. By the way, if you found tonight's program, there's still more to come. If you found tonight's program useful, you can always sign up to our YouTube channel. Just there, just click on that, and you'll get notifications when all the new programs come out. They come out every Wednesday night, live at 6 o'clock. We are going to be changing that in the next couple of months, so do keep your eye on this place. We're going to be moving it to, I think, Monday lunchtimes, in fact. But if you want to have a bit of a check, just subscribe here. You can watch us, of course, on iTunes. You can download all the programs there. You'll find a link on our website to that at www.businessconnectionslive.com. Must remember to swallow. And and also, if you want to as well, you can contact us at any stage. If you'd love a program like this about maybe your business, then why don't you get in touch at the same email address or this telephone number, which is 01784 256 777, and ask for either myself, Steve, or for the lovely Linda, or just call her Linda. No, she likes the lovely Linda. The lovely Linda. So it's as easy and as straightforward as that. We do hope you found tonight interesting and fascinating. If you have been thinking about building that website, then hopefully this is a bit of a start for you this evening. Rafi, the last thing you're going to show us is...
So, last thing I'll show you is the footer bit.
Oh, yes.
And also the contact us page.
Okay.
Because it's important for people to contact you. If I go to pages again, add new, and remember again it's because it's a paid theme, I can change the template to contact form and publish. That's all I'm doing. But because it's a paid theme, I have to go inside the theme settings.
Right.
And there's contact page option. And this is where I would actually add my email address. It's very important I add my email address, because if I don't, then where would that contact form details go to? So
good thinking.
It's a way to hide my email address. It might be a Gmail, you never know. So someone might not have the domain email address yet. But now if I go back into appearance, remember, I know I'm doing this one by one, but if you create all the pages first and then you just add them to the menu, it's actually easier. So there you have it. I've got the contact page, and if I now refresh it, I click on contact, I've got a form. Not just any form, but you can also see that someone has to actually type the numbers in, so that robots or other sort of, they're called scrapers. They don't just come in and fill this with nonsense. So you can actually get humans.
Well, it
to
also
do this.
stops the robots, the bots, doesn't it?
That's
from
exactly
harvesting your email, which
That's
is very
correct.
good.
There you go. Very, very true. And also one thing I was going to say, the footer area and the sidebar. So one thing, another reason why everyone uses WordPress is if you go to wordpress.org/plugins, just have a look at how many free plugins there are. What is a plugin? It's a little piece of code you can add to add extra functionality. So for example, if I go to plugins, click add new. Now I want to back up my site easily. I can just search. My website is now connected to those 35,000 plugins. So all I do, now I know there's a plugin called WP Clone, because I've Googled it, I researched it, and I found the name. You type in the name, you get the plugin. You click install now, click OK, and it's going to install that plugin for you. Each plugin has a specific purpose, so that's why you need to do your research, find the plugin you want. And now that will show up here. If I go to WP Clone, I've worked on my site. I spent an hour. If I click create backup, it's going to now back up my site, my website, the video link, the pages, the post, the menus. Not just that, even the database itself. And there you can see it's only 4 megabytes. But as you build your site, it's going to get into
bigger and bigger.
100 and gigabytes and so on. But if I now go into add new again, remember the footer bit. Let's say I want to add Pinterest. So I know there's a plugin called Pinterest Pinboard widget. Now the difference between a widget and a plugin is that all these little pieces of code is plugins, but widget is also a plugin that allows you to pull information from the outside world.
Right.
So if I now click and install this little piece of code, which is the plugin.
So I take it you'd get a, shall we say, a Facebook widget.
Yes.
Yeah, a Facebook widget or a Twitter widget.
Correct. Yep. Right. Absolutely right. In fact, now you can see Pinterest is showing up. Now if I go into appearance and then widgets, this is where I control the area. You can see primary. So you can see the sidebar here, recent posts, recent comments,
yes,
archives, categories, meta. Let's say I don't want meta to show up there. All I have to do within the primary sidebar, I click that to open it up, delete, it's gone. Now I want to add in the footer. Now because of the paid theme, I have footer 1, footer 2, footer 3, footer 4. Because if I actually remove, let's say I'm actually making this theme activate and remove canvas, just temporarily, watch what happens. I go to widgets, what do I see? Only that. No footer 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why there's so much limitation on a free theme that you don't get on a paid theme. So you've got footers 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go to appearance, widgets, let's say footer 1, I open it up, and here's Pinterest Pinboard. It's only showed up because I installed it as a plugin.
Yes.
I can just drag it there, and I can call this, just leave it as Pinterest. So I'm going to use Pinterest account to show the pins of that. It's good to click open links in a new window as well, because we don't want people clicking those images
and going away.
There you go. Absolutely right. So if I now refresh this, scroll down, I've got the pins. So that's one footer. That's great. But what about footer 2? I can now drag a text widget, say contact us, and let's say I have an address here. But if I just click save, it doesn't really look nice. You'll see it in one line. What I can do then, just take automatically add paragraphs. Now I can add phone numbers, I can add email addresses, everything's there. So
excellent.
That's how you can actually carry on and build your footer with you're showing your tweets, and then also manipulating the sidebar, which is this bit, and you can add different widgets. Because for example on footer 3, what if I want to add the calendar? You don't always have to drag things. I can just click calendar and say I want this to be in footer 3. Add to widget, and all I have to do is go back, refresh, and there you go. Suddenly you've got a footer. And footer 4, we haven't added anything yet, but you can
go ahead. You can see the whole principle there, can't
yes.
you? I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, it's been a real insight into the power of WordPress this evening. To be able to build a website from scratch and to get to a stage where we've now, and just think about what we've done here. We've set it up on our server. Well, first of all, we downloaded WordPress, we set it up on our server, we've created some blog pages, we've created a home page, we've created a page that's got video on it, we've created a page that's got pictures on it, we've created a page as well that will show a summary of the different blogs that we have. And then what we've done as well is when we started populating it with plugins and widgets. Plugins that have added things like, or widgets that have added things like Pinterest to our web page. You may already be using Pinterest, but Pinterest to our web page, a calendar to our web page, contact forms, all very, very quickly on a very simple website. And we've done it in 60 minutes. So if you've been thinking to yourself, you know, that'd be absolutely perfect for me. I just need a place to start. Maybe this is the place that you should start. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping, Rafi, but what I am going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you in just a moment to look down camera 1 and to do a little piece to camera that is very much a case of things you should remember when you're picking up WordPress for the first time. Things you shouldn't do, some of the things you should do. Just 2 or 3 minutes of the key things you should remember when it comes to WordPress.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Listen, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's program. It's been absolutely fascinating. Rafi, Akbar, the founder and CEO of Lucky Webs, his background, as we said at the beginning, is in digital marketing, web design, social media, e-commerce, and SEO. On next week's show, our guest is Dan Spicer from Hootsuite. He'll be joining us now. Hootsuite, if you're into social media, boy, Dan's got it. Dan knows it all because he's from Hootsuite, and he'll be coming in on the program to just explain how best to maximize the return that you get when you're using Hootsuite. If you find your social media a bit of a chore and you like a way to make it a little bit easier, make it a little bit more structured, then Hootsuite is the way forward for doing that. And Dan Spicer is going to be with us next week on the program. We're really looking forward to that as well. And also look out for 4NTV with Brad Burton. He's going to be live from the studio on the 18th of February. That program goes out at midday, so right in the middle of the day. 4 Networking, 4NTV are actually going to be here doing the business for you. It's going to be fantastic. And don't forget the business show as well. We're going to be there on the 13th and 14th. I told you it was a bit of housekeeping. If you just have a look there, you can see all the different people who are going to be turning up at the show. There it is. And as you can see, Brad's going to be there, James Cowan's going to be there, David Gold, Clive Rich, who we interviewed at the show, Kate Hardcastle is going to be there, and we're going to be at the show, we hope, as well. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a load of fun. And in fact, if you do go along to their website, I'm not quite certain where it is, but you'll find that there is a rerun of what we did at last year's show on their particular website. Absolutely fantastic, great fun, a terrific show if you're in a small to medium scale of business. And if you'd like a show just like this one for your own website, well, why don't you get in contact with us at businessconnectionslive.com. Right then, Rafi, as I said, I'm going to ask you straight down camera number 1, just over there. I shall pull the screen down a teeny weeny bit. And if you'd just like to give us a bit of a reminder what we should be thinking about when it comes to our WordPress site.
Okay, the first thing I would definitely say is focus on web hosting, because you don't need to worry about, sorting the website's back-end stuff. All you need is a nice web hosting company that will take care of your website for you, while you can focus on building the site, get it up and running, and market it. So the first thing is choose a good web hosting company, and I would recommend Bluehost all the way. Second, once you've logged into your Bluehost account, you can actually install WordPress, and WordPress is the way forward. So you can install WordPress with a single click from their control panel. Third is, once you've got WordPress installed and you have the hosting set up, then you have to choose a nice layout, a WordPress theme. So once you choose a theme, then you can install and activate that theme. But when you're looking for a theme, the things you should do is go into Google, search for that theme. So you would search based on your area of expertise, or when you're about to start a business, based on that focus. So let's say if you're a photographer, you would say best photography theme, or best WordPress photography theme, and then, or even add the year 2015, so you can have the latest themes available. So that's number 3. Number 4 is then choose the plugins that you need to install. Now there's a bit of do's and don'ts. You should not have more than 10 or 15 plugins, maximum 15, because beyond that, then your WordPress website will get to be a bit clunky or slow, and then you'll have to find other ways of speeding it up. But also, the more plugins you have, and each plugin is built by someone else, there's a danger that your site could be exposed to things that you might not be aware of. So the less plugins you have, the better. Just have plugins for for your Twitter, for your Facebook, for your LinkedIn, with whatever is relevant, and just keep it to a minimum. And then number 5 is security. You should have some security plugins, and there's plenty of security plugins out there as well. And when I run my course, I go through all of this in more detail.
And there we go. Do you know, absolutely fascinating. You must come back and we'll do another show on SEO and keywords. I think that would be an absolutely fascinating for the more advanced WordPress user. I don't know about you, it's been an incredibly informative evening. I hope you've enjoyed the program. Don't forget, the nice thing about watching it here on Business Connections Live is that you can pause it, you can go back and you can watch it again and again and again until you get it right. If you're designing your own WordPress site, tonight's show has been the foundations for you, building on solid foundations to grow into something that's big, glorious and marvelous. And who knows, it could be an award-winning website that you end up with in a couple of years' time. I hope you found tonight's programme informative and interesting as well. Listen, that probably wraps up tonight's programme. As I said, on next week's programme is Dan Spicer from Hootsuite. Rafi, thank you very much for being with us this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We'll do it again next Wednesday night, live at 6 o'clock when we've got Hootsuite in and Dan Spicer from me, Steve Harlan. See you then. Bye for now. Bye-bye.